number one is how to concentrate and build something. I think maybe nature of artists, because they are more observant than the speakers. Once you connected to the nature, then obviously you're healing.
First of all, I think even for the school children, art is very important for them to express themselves. I'm from a generation where, I used to go through dictionaries, learn words, that made me learn. If I was looking for one word, I would have learned 10 words then.
Welcome back to Power Moves. It's been a bit of a break, but we are back talking to not one, but two guests who are joining our podcast studio today. And today we are talking about a certain creative form of expression. Today we will be talking about art. Art in Sri Lanka, the landscape of art in Sri Lanka, how art has evolved in Sri Lanka, and also a very special foundation that is encouraging budding artists and also creating a platform for Sri Lankan art to shine on the global stage. So, without further ado, let me introduce our guests on the podcast today. I have with me Nilanka Premachandra and Fazlur Rahman. Nilanka, of course, is the president of the Jayanta Premadasa Foundation, Premachandra Foundation rather, and also Fazlur, who is a member of the Jayanta Premachandra Foundation. A very good day to you and welcome on Power Moves, guys.
Thank you.
Very
nice to see you.
Good day to you too, and thank you for having us.
Amazing. It's our pleasure. Nilanka, let me, as the saying goes, ladies go first. So let me direct my first question to you. We live in a very fast-paced world in the 21st century, especially in 2026. There's a lot of tension around us. It's fast-paced, the rat race, we call it. And when it comes to expressing yourself and taking a bit of relief amidst all of the hustle and bustle, where does art fit in as a form of relief or escape, in your opinion?
So I would say that art is there to express oneself, right? As you said, it's very fast. We are in a fast-moving world and a digital world as well.
Yes.
So I think art would allow people to pause a little and think, rethink, and take some time to express themselves or ourselves when it comes to whatever feeling we have, whether it's sadness, confusion, threat, or I think it's a good form
of self-expression.
Yes, self-expression, and so to slow down, as you say,
and to put your emotions out there, even if it's sorrow, if it's happiness, excitement, anything, because people tend to come back to their creative nodes whenever they're feeling stressed, or even when they're feeling happy and they're content, right?
Exactly. You can you can show happiness, sadness, all the confusion you have in your mind. I think you can put it to a canvas.
That is it. Great.
Simple answer, I think.
Simple explanation. Fazlur, talking about how art can function as a so-called reset button in the world, especially amongst younger generations, because we know with all that's happening in the world, younger generations are the most affected by it, and the pressure that they're facing is severe. How can they use art as a form of de-stressing and also to avoid burnout, especially when it comes to the world that we're living in? Burnout is a word we hear often amongst younger professionals, especially. What is your response to that?
I'm glad you asked that question. What we see amongst youngsters, I work with a lot of youngsters because we have these encounters where there are lots of different age groups that we work with. The younger people they are addicted to technology. Not their fault, is because it's the world is driven by technology now.
They're born with it.
They're born with it, to be very precise. So they have to kind of take themselves out of technology every now and then, just to build their own creativeness. Now, if you see the phones and the internet gives you everything almost.
Yeah.
You don't to an extent where you don't have to be creative at all. You just need to give a prompt. It gives you exactly what you feel or what you want to say to the world. But that kind of also restricts your imagination about the world, how you see and perceive the world. And also it keeps you always on the clock. Now, the moment that you take a canvas or you take a piece of paper and start drawing, you take a break out of that. That's number one. And number two, you start concentrating and focusing on one thing, which is the most important out of all, because the moment you get into the phone, you continuously flip. You want to switch between videos and whatever that you see. So the moment that you start focusing, you learn a lot of things out of it. Number one is how to concentrate and build something. And number two, how to improve your attention span.
Right.
And then number three, it also gives you a peace of mind. Then it gives you the ability to think and sit through the problems. Now, if you see these, there are different kind of art which de-stresses you. For example, these mandala arts and stuff like that, which obviously predominantly to do with the colors as well as the patterns.
Yes.
So people say that when you're stressed, try to like take a break out, start drawing or, start coloring. It helps you to calm down. That's because indirectly it's connected to how we think and focus.
Right.
So I believe it takes you out of that technology that you're always interacting with. That's number one. It gives you the ability to relieve yourself from that toxic environment which you always create around you. Not essentially that we do it, but the phone, or
it
maybe
just so happens.
It happens
that
because
we're exposed to it.
Because it kind of knows how to draw your attention. So I believe the youngsters, the moment they touch pen, paper, and start drawing something, they kind of start improving their cognitive function in a completely different way. Maybe that would allow them to think through, and also it'll help them to it'll also help them with problem solving skills.
Right.
Maybe we can talk about it later on the other questions, but I see this more often.
Amazing. Nilanka, when we talk about exploring art or putting pen to the canvas, many people feel or they hesitate to explore the world of art because they feel like they're not talented enough, or they might not put out a masterpiece, so to speak. What would you say to them?
So you have talent and you have expression. So talent is where you learn your techniques and how you will draw, and you will learn the methods. Whereas you have expression where you imagine. That's where creativity comes, and then you create and your imagination is there. And I think that's where you go out of the box and you
express
put out
yourself.
your expressions,
Your innermost thoughts.
Exactly. So I guess I would differentiate both of
those two elements between
elements.
talent and expression.
Exactly. I think for an artist, for me, he or she should have both. So that's how I think, but art is very subjective. So
Great.
yeah.
Fazlur, when we move on to the Sri Lankan art landscape that we are witnessing, how would you describe the current state of art in Sri Lanka? Do you feel like it's evolving in the right direction currently?
Yes, compared to how it was back then to now, it has evolved a lot.
Right.
Actually, they've got fairly large amount of platform to expose themselves. But the question here is whether they are represented properly, whether they are exposed properly, and also whether they are getting the right amount of encouragement to do so. I have not seen many people who pursue art as their career.
Right.
Maybe for number of reasons. And also when you interact with these people who go to art faculty, and sometimes they're very shy to come out. I think maybe nature of artist, because they are more observant than the speakers.
And they are more or less introverted.
Yes.
Right?
So maybe that ability is making them to perform also. We're not too sure what would be the reason, but I think it's fair to come out. They need to speak up. They need to say what they feel about what they are drawing.
Okay.
Not in a very commercial angle, but also on a very complexity.
Yeah.
We need to see what's their interpretation of the imagination they're trying to portray.
Yeah.
So I think the artist should be spoken.
Okay.
Artists should be seen, and also they should be celebrated.
Okay.
We have more room for that.
So do you think Sri Lanka, at least, has tapped into the therapeutic power of art enough?
I would say we have a long way to go. Because
how can that be achieved?
I would see, first of all, it's the awareness that we need to build. We need to start interacting about therapeutic art.
Right.
Not many people talk about it. They talk about other therapeutic practices, for example, yoga, meditation, all those things. But art directly connects you to the nature, because you don't draw anything that you have not seen.
Yeah.
You can't imagine that something that you have not seen
Exactly.
before.
It's a visualization that you put onto the canvas.
Subconsciously, at least subconsciously, you are extracting what you have seen from somewhere.
Yes.
And then putting it together. So that connects you to the nature. Once you connected to the nature, then obviously you're healing.
Right.
You're de-stressing yourself. So the moment that you start a therapeutic art on regular basis, then your connection to the nature builds up, and therefore you get de-stressed.
Right.
That's my take when it comes to therapeutic art.
Amazing. Nilanka, when you talk about how institutions, schools, and the media can promote art amongst the youth and also in general amongst the population, what sort of aspects have you noticed need the most attention, and how can those three elements, institutions, the media, and also schools, promote this through different ways and means?
Well, that's a very nice question, and also it needs there's a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
First of all, I think even for the school children, art is very important for them to express themselves.
Okay.
You know, art, as you know, in psychology also we use art
Yeah.
to find out what the children feel, what they go through, and all these things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one reason we go through art, because that shows that they can express themselves on a piece of paper.
Right.
Or so now I would say our next generations should think out of the box.
Right.
That's my point of view, because I'm from a generation where, you know, I used to go through dictionaries, learn words. You know, that made me learn. If I was looking for one word, I would have learned 10 words then.
Yes.
So I think that is not
Learning
there
was much
now.
harder back then.
Yeah, it's harder.
Yeah.
But that, you know, that itself is a learning process where it's an achievement.
Certainly.
So I think I wouldn't say that we should go back to that level, but I guess, you know, we have to come where children also have to put their efforts to learn things, not only to Google and just find out all of a sudden. That aspect is there.
Okay.
So in art also, as I said, I don't think that you can even though digital art is there, you know, the feelings, the expressions, all these things cannot be you know, shown in
just shown out of expressions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you cannot. So the feelings and everything has to be real.
Right.
You can't put it out
Great.
digitally.
Okay.
That's my message.
It's
so
your take.
yeah, we have to stick to nature.
Right.
We have to stick to
your roots,
the truth.
basically.
We have to stick to you know, freedom, and we everything is. It has to be natural, I guess.
Amazing.
That's what I
This
think.
might be a bit of an obvious question, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming your inspiration for art comes from your father,
Yeah.
who is the late great Jayanta Premachandra. Tell me how he inspired you to love art, to read a masterpiece. What sort of inspiration did you get through observing him and the way he moved over the years in shaping your ideal scenario of what art should be?
So what I learned from him is always about, you know, when it came to art or life or everything, that was, of course, first of all, to be true to
Yourself.
myself, and, you know, to tell what you think, and to even to draw, do what you think, you know, and so from him I've learned a lot, where I've I haven't got a degree in art, but right throughout my life I've been with him. So
Yeah.
that
I think
has
you had an
been a
entire
degree,
university full
yes,
of
exactly. Yeah, from the
information
age of,
through your father.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So as far as I remember, from the age of 5 years, I've been with him, to around the world for exhibitions, and I've seen him, of course, painting, drawing, but I've seen him hanging the paintings, carrying them. It's about moving from one country to the other, going in trains, carrying his briefcase,
Pieces of
and
art with him, as
the portfolio with him, and struggling to put the whole thing right. And I've been, I was a child, and so I've seen all that, and so that has been a very good experience for me in life. Where
you were able to
touch-
see the inside scoop of a
Yes.
visionary, someone
Yes.
who broke the norm. He was very
Yes.
unconventional. He didn't
Yes,
stick to
yes.
a very conventional profession. He became an artist, and
Yes.
eventually he inspired people beyond Sri Lanka and continues to inspire people beyond time also.
Yeah, he tried to take Sri Lankan culture and art wherever he went to exhibit and talk about Sri Lanka, talk about our culture, traditions, all these things.
Yeah.
And he was a very down-to-earth person, so it was no restrictions as such when it came to religion or ethnicity or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was just the human angle of it. So
Right.
I never learned any kind of, he is this, she is that, this, that kind of things.
You learn
I've
to
never,
treat everyone
heard.
equally.
Yeah. So equality. So that's what, as I said, yeah.
That's what you learned
Yes.
from shadowing him all of those years. So
Yes.
let's talk about the Jayanta Premachandra Foundation. What was its inception like? Since how long has it been operating, and what sort of role, I'm directing this question to both of you, what sort of role does this foundation aim to play within the Sri Lankan art scene?
Okay, I'll start with how it was created. So
Yeah.
it was created in 2022. Actually, now he passed away in 1988, so 38 years ago. So in 2022 only we created the Jayanta Premachandra Foundation because of course I took time, because he passed away at the age of 53, and then I took time to live my life, and then only all of a sudden everything has a time, I guess, and
exactly.
then only we created the foundation together with a group of friends, family members, and thought that it's good to put out his collection, what is left, and also to put out his legacy, and to create a foundation under his name, to talk about his art, but also his life, the person who he was as a human being, because he has always felt for people and the country itself
Throughout his
also,
life.
even though he was abroad
Most of the time.
he was very close to Sri Lanka, and I have not studied Sinhala, but I'm still very good at speaking or writing Sinhala. I don't know how I managed, but I can.
Yeah.
So I think I have to thank my parents for that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fazlur?
Yeah, so when it comes to Jayanta Premachandra Foundation, I was introduced to Nilanka on an event where we were both invited,
Yeah.
and Dr. Alan Lightman from US had come down specially for the exhibition they have had last in 2023. Is that right?
2024 when
24,
we launched the
yeah,
book.
yeah.
Right.
So I was invited mainly because I have a bookstore, and we've
Okay.
got a very curated collection of books.
Yes.
I happened to be invited to this event, and I got interested about the book, went through, and it was spectacular, the collection of art and how it was. Then they also got in touch with me. We spoke a lot, and then we started working together as well. I had the interest of taking care of promoting some of the events for them,
Right.
especially promoting the book, because I really wanted the book to go to as many hands as possible.
Yeah.
Because it has a very crisp journey of Jayanta Premachandra, how his art has evolved from the time that he started to the time that he passed away.
Yeah.
And then
This book was launched in 2024.
2024, and it is
What does it mainly encapsulate?
well, the book is a study done by the visual arts painting department, visual arts faculty,
Okay.
University of Visual Arts,
Right.
and so a whole team worked on the book. And Professor Mr. Jagat Ravindra was the author of the book, and he himself is an artist, and he's the one who got the interest of studying my father's work, because
Right.
after so many years he was a bit missing in action, I
Okay.
would say.
Right.
So I think the there was a generation which has missed who he was and his art.
Right. Okay.
So that's
They wanted to put his legacy into a book so that future generations
so that's
can
how we
also be
came back
inspired
as a
by
foundation,
what he
and
did.
we did the book,
Okay.
and going ahead with the foundation.
and
with
the book has a really good summary of how he has been throughout. I mean, artist journey is not easy,
Yeah,
as you know.
definitely.
It's not the most attractive profession.
It's not a bed of
because-
roses.
No, it's not at
No,
all.
not
I
at
mean, they're alone most of the time because they're not seen by people. Artist needs that time, and then once they produce it, they don't know whether should it go public or not, because they're not very sure. Okay, fine, can this be presented to another person?
Yeah.
And then third, in most of the cases, it is spoken when they're not around.
Right. Yes.
So
Definitely.
uh,
They're celebrated
so- Yeah.
when they're not
they're
around.
not around. So just imagine me knowing I'm doing some work now, thinking I may not be getting the credit for it now.
Yeah.
Maybe after I'm gone, maybe long gone,
Yeah.
people will be talking about it. It's very difficult to fathom.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't make that decision of doing such kind of profession or a passion.
Yeah.
I would always want to see some recognition coming to me instantly, but
Yeah.
artist journey is completely
It's
different.
different.
They don't work for recognition, they work for passion. So that's classic example about Jayanta Premachandra's work. So the book reflects that.
Amazing. That's an
a
amazing.
small
Yes,
thing
Nilanka.
about the book.
Yeah.
From the time I worked to publish the book with the visual arts, and I've been right throughout with the artists, the lecturers,
Yeah.
the students,
Yeah.
and I learnt a lot from the visual arts.
Visual arts. Yeah.
Where you learn about the human angle of everything, how they put it into canvases,
Yeah.
and
The granular scope of how things happen.
yeah, and the simplicity of the artists also. I encountered a lot of things through the visual arts also.
Amazing. So, very quickly, let's talk about an interesting event that's going to be happening on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of April 2026. That is The Art and Life of Jayanta Premachandra. That's a retrospective exhibition which is going to be happening at the ITC Ratnadeepa. And what sort of experience can attendees, it's a complimentary entry also, so it's free for all. What sort of experience can attendees witness or expect to experience when they attend on the 24th, 5th or the 6th?
You want me to say that? Yeah, absolutely. So what we
main
did was
organizers.
for this year we usually do an event every year connected to different elements, obviously based on Jayanta Premachandra's work. Now this year we wanted to first inaugurate some of the paintings that he has not put out before.
Right.
So we've framed some of those paintings we've never seen.
Never before seen.
Never seen before.
Right. Okay.
Some of them, and then we thought of tagging that along with some of the workshops, talk shows, where you could also not just specifically about Jayanta Premachandra's work, also art and art techniques as well.
Right.
So for example, now we are encouraging art as a foundation. We try to bring up young artists and encourage art,
Yeah.
but we should also introduce art properly to people. The idea of bringing talk show host this time is to talk in various subjects. We've got Jagat Ravindra and Shanaka talking about the book as well as his journey of researching about Jayanta Premachandra.
Right.
And then we have Shanila she's the one who helps us to frame all these art.
Yeah, she's
So-
the owner of Curado, and also she's the one who has framed all our paintings.
Great.
right
So it's a
throughout.
collection of multiple
Yeah,
elements coming
yeah,
together to form this
so
great
that
masterpiece,
will
right?
be art of framing.
Yeah, so we
So-
called it art of framing because the frame elevates the art.
Oh, nice wordplay.
We've only realized it after started doing this.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
even for me, before I associated with the foundation, I looked at the art and I felt it's amazing, but I don't know why it's amazing. But now the work, Jayanta Premachandra's work, it comes on a piece of paper, but you need to present it nicely. So
that matters.
Shanila has
To
helped
talk
us
about the presentation of a certain
exactly
canvas.
Yes,
choosing the
yes,
frames, and you know
uh,
how. So, for example, if you're a collector or if you're an art enthusiast, you would like to buy an art. You also want to preserve it properly. You want to maintain it. You want it to make it look nice.
Yeah.
And you
So, yeah, go on
and you need to highlight the painting.
and
Right.
highlight the painting.
Yeah, wherever it's going to be hung
Yes.
or kept. Yeah.
So it'll be a nice introduction. We thought it'll be a nice introduction if a framing person comes and speaks about how the framing is done, how they make the color choices, and then what would be the suggestions they give to their clients when it
Great.
comes to framing.
Okay.
And then we've got a row of guest speakers coming in.
Okay.
You'd like to name?
Oh no, it's fine.
I mean, this is
That's
the
interesting.
this is the summary of what's going to happen.
Yeah, so we have a young artist who will come and speak about her experience as an artist. She's actually studying at Shantiniketan Vishwabharati
in India.
So in India, and she was part of the team who worked for the book as well.
Great.
So she has learnt a lot from the research work and stuff, and also we want to give
Highlight
the
essentially.
possibility
Yeah.
to talk as a young artist and tell her experience overall, and also how she came across the foundation as well.
Great.
And we have another person coming from India, Dr. Beena Gandhi Deroy, who is also a professor at Shantiniketan,
Right.
and she will deliver a special talk as well.
Special address.
Lot
Lot
to
to look forward to. Amazing. Thank you very much for joining me today, Nilanka Premachandra and Fazlur Rahman, President and also member of the Jayanta Premachandra Foundation. You guys have been doing amazing things through this foundation, and we wish you all the best for this upcoming exhibition, and we hope to see you soon. And we wish you all the best when it comes to everything art.
And I want to
Yes.
thank also the MBC team, who has always been with me and helped and promoted whatever event we did, exhibition, and so in that way you guys are also promoting art.
Happy
and
to contribute.
giving space to human
Expression.
emotion and expression.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys,
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank you very
Power
much.
Moves.
Thank you.
We will see you again on a brand new episode of Power Moves. Till then, take care.